Hello everyone, here we have a slideshow with just two pictures on it, and we're going to add some text. And in PowerPoint you have to add a text box to add text. So we're going to go over to Insert, Text Box. I'd like to point out too that a lot of people like to use these word art shapes. If you insert a text box, you can always change it to word art afterwards. So I'm just going to do a text box and draw that over here. I'm going to go down quite a bit, and you'll notice when I let go of my mouse, it jumps back up to one line. And the reason why it does that is it always wants to start off at one line for typing. If you try and adjust this to the size you want it to be before you put any text in there, it doesn't always work so well. You can kind of shrink it left and right, but you can't drag it down. And then when you want to add the text, sometimes it's a little hard to get in there. I'm double clicking, I'm clicking, I can't really get in there. You sort of have to right click and go to edit text, and then you can see your cursor blinking in there. So a better way to do that is, I'm going to delete that one, is to go up to Insert, Text Box, and just draw a shape, and then just leave it that way while the cursor is blinking. Put in your text, and then rearrange or resize your text box. I'm just going to type the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. I'm going to say, oh, oops, forgot the A. And I'm going to shrink this down so that I got more than one text, more than text on one line. Yeah, obviously, if you want to change the font, you can come up here and make it bigger. I mean, a lot of these things are basic, not going to go over it. There's some things here where you can change styles and whatever on this home menu, but a more relevant menu to a text box. Let me drag this out a little. A more relevant menu, once you have this text box selected, you get a Format tab up here. If you click away from this so that it's not selected, you'll see it disappears. And when I click on it again, it reappears. So I'm going to go up to, I'm going to choose the whole text box. Format, and you get all these things. You can insert shapes, you can do shape styles, you have word art styles, you can arrange things, just like with the pictures, put things in front and back. You can bring to front, or bring forward if they're multi-layered. So you can step one layer forward at a time. You can align things certain ways, you can rotate things different ways. Okay, I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. Okay, so those are some sort of basic things. These are the more interesting things that people can do. So text fill, you can actually fill your text with the different types of things. Colors, pictures, gradient, or texture. So if I wanted to fill my text with this texture, I can do that. That's a little hard to see. So let's go over something else. Let me just make it a gradient. Choose this. Okay, so you can see it changed to blue, and it's a little lighter to a little darker. That's what a gradient is. But if we highlight this and go back to home and make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see, so you can tell how the tops of the letters are darker blue than the bottoms of the letters. Okay, so you can do that. Go back to the Format tab. You can also fill it with a picture, which is a really cool effect. However, to make that look good, you need to use a font that's very fat and letters are stuck close together. Because the more gap you have in between your letters, the less of the picture that you use to fill your text will you see. So if I go to Picture here, and I go to my desktop where I have this stuff that we're working on, and I choose this picture over here and say Insert, that picture is inside the text, which is a very cool effect, but you really can't see it. One way to try and make it more visible is there's a text that works pretty good, or a font, I should say, that works pretty good, called Impact. Notice the letters are very thick, and also they're very tightly packed together. So there's much more lettering going on than spacing, shall we say. Let me stretch this out a little bit so you can see a bit more of the picture. So that's a pretty cool effect, and you can play with that a little bit. Probably a picture that's more like a sunrise or something would look better than with a lot of detail, because you can't really see it, although you can kind of see the boy's face over here, or the girl, whatever that was. Okay, so that's filling it with a picture. Go back to Format. Again, you can use gradient, picture, just colors. Okay, so a few options. You can also do an outline. So if I want the box to have, or the text to have an outline, Right there, it's on there now. You can't really see it too much. It's kind of a darker blue. You go to black, but also you can't see that too well. But you can go to weight and say, oh, let me make it thicker. Now you can see that it has more of an outline. And then you can also do text effects. You can make a shadow. That gives you kind of 3D stuff. You can make it reflect down to the bottom. Reflections look good if you're putting a picture over something like a picture of a beach, because then you'll have some text over water, and seeing a reflection in water is a pretty common thing. You can make things glow. You can do a transformation or transform. So we can make it sort of have a rounded effect. Okay, and obviously some of it got cut off, so you might want to have to make that bigger so you can see more of it. Okay, so you can play around with that. Now, of course, it's even harder to see the picture, so I'm going to undo that by pressing Control Z a couple times, 3 times, and get it back to there. So those are your text effects. Here's your word art. So if I choose one of these, it's going to get rid of that picture, which is okay. Let's go back to not having the picture. So here's some word art, built-in features that you can just choose, whichever one you like. That kind of looks more like the thing I started off with. You can click what's just right there. I kind of like this orange one. Okay, then you can also do shape fill, which means not filling the text, but filling the shape, the rectangle that holds the text. Okay, so if I go down here and I say texture and I choose these bubbles, then my box is filled with bubbles. And then, of course, the text is on top of it. And you can outline that just like you outlined the text, but now it's the, let me click away from it, now it's the box has a little purple outline. I'm going to click back on it and go to shape outline and change the weight just to make it a little thicker. Okay, click on that and then go to, after outline, you also have shape effects. Same, not exactly like the text, because of course you can't transform it like we did the text to make it sort of circular, but similar things like glow and reflection, shadow. Let's put a glow on it. We'll use something that's pretty pronounced so you can see the glow of red around the outside of the box. Okay, if I click back on that, you can also choose some things that are built in, like this purple, which of course then gets rid of the texture. And that kind of looks like something that go with the Magic Kingdom, because they do use orange and purple a lot. And then you can also go over here to shapes. And if you click on this edit shape, and you go to change shape, we can change it from a rectangle to, I don't know, a heart. Okay, that doesn't look too good because it got so big. But we can certainly shrink it down. Now jump to the next slide. There we go. And I think maybe if we select all the text by pressing Control A and choosing something smaller, then we can get a more reasonable looking shape of a heart. Okay, so that's how you can change the shape of the text box. If you click one of these, this is more of an insert thing. So when I click on this, it doesn't actually change this, it's ready to draw. Okay, so I'm going to hit delete to get rid of that. Okay, so if you want to change this shape, you have to click on edit shape, not one of these. That's for starting off with a shape. Okay, so go here and then change shape, and you can change it to something else, like maybe the teardrop, like Buzz Lightyear. So it's going to be a similar looking shape. And again, you can't drag it down because of how much text there is in there. The only way to get it to go more vertical is to drag it left and right, squish it so that the text has to wrap down below, and then that makes it more vertical. So you can play around with that, obviously, to get it to look right. And if you really want to go crazy, you can click on this, go to convert to freeform, and when you click on this, then go back again to edit shape and choose edit points, you can kind of drag this shape and make it a totally different shape if you're inclined to really get carried away with that type of stuff. Okay, but I think some of the built-in things are really good enough without you having to get carried away with that, but some people like to do that, so hey, go ahead. Right, so that's how to insert a text box and put all kinds of features onto the text box.